right, looks like we're just about ready. Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
Todd and Rob in the afternoon.
Hey, afternoon delight.
With Todd and Rob. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here we are. Welcome back to the New Media Show. Rob?
Hi, how's it going?
It's going, and it's been a non-sequential, how do you want to say that? A non-consequential, coincidental week.
Non-consequential, boy.
Yeah, whatever it is. I'm getting y'all totally screwed up. So, and you know why?
Why is that?
Because YouTube was a big nothing burger.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I was hoping we were going to talk about that.
About
what they announced today or yesterday or the other day or whatever.
What's funny is what they announced wasn't even anything they talked about.
No, it's completely different.
Completely different.
It's their kind of hijacking of the name podcast into the YouTube publishing platform.
Yeah, that's the
into
key word.
Video.
Keyword is hijacking.
Yeah.
So
it's just publishing a regular video episode to YouTube. It's just now they have a section that's called video podcasts. So you can now
it's not even listed video podcast. It's listed podcast. And so in the YouTube interface,
that's true.
All it is, you had to designate playlists. So we had a playlist for this show, playlists for GNC, and guess what? In about 3 seconds, I made them podcast. And you know what?
It's not audio though.
No,
it doesn't support audio.
No, well, you can upload audio and still have a blank screen, but it's nothing.
It doesn't actually say that in the interface.
Well, you assume because it didn't change nothing with YouTube. YouTube is the same as it was, except now there is a playlist called podcast, and you upload a album art, and then there is a new section on YouTube/podcast, which you go over there. I went. Of course, I immediately went over thinking, okay, hey,
I did too.
I have made this show a quote unquote podcast on YouTube, and let's see if it shows up. So let me just share my screen so we can look at this. What do we have? NPR, same BS characters, same media. Do the Hawks get the? So these are YouTube channels,
right?
Theo Vaughn, Shane 2, $1 Million Worth, Flagrant, Bradley Martin's Raw Talk, popular podcast playlist. Okay, they show No Jumper, Fresh and Fit, Critical Role. These are all video shows. And we have a recommended section. We have film. We have stand-up comedy. We have rapping. We have hip-hop music, comedy music, ultimate fighting, ghost stories, true crime, Dungeons and Dragons, action games. That's it. That's the categories. We fit into none of those, and we are not displayed anywhere.
Right.
So this is just a bunch of hooey-hoo.
Do you have to apply to be included on the podcast page when you are a video podcast?
Rob, this is what this is going to be. This is going to be YouTube showing video YouTubers, and that's it. This is I will be someone please please, if you see an audio only program in this YouTube podcast section, please let me know. Because
Well, it goes beyond that too, Todd. It's are the shows listed here? Do they also have an audio podcast?
well,
As a companion to it. Because if they don't, they have a hard time claiming.
So let's go ahead and let's do a few searches. The Brilliant Idiots was it recommended with 160. The Brilliant Idiots podcast. Let's see here. The Brilliant Idiots podcast. The Brilliant Idiots does have a Apple podcast listing. Is this the same show? The North Forgot. Let me go back to YouTube. The Brilliant Idiots episodes. Is this?
Yep, Charlemagne the God.
Andrew Show.
Oh my God, that's like blew us away. I'm sorry, everybody. I don't think so. I don't think this is the same show. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. But there's something audio over here called The Brilliant Idiots from LSN. Is this LSN? All right, let me back up. I got to turn the volume down here or we're going to get black. This past weekend with Caleb Presley. So they got numbers by him, 436. So I bet you this show is out there. So let me go look at this past weekend. Hey, Rob, your video went away.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the YouTube experience here.
Oh,
So, yeah, I don't know if you can see it well on this screen or not, but this is the YouTube studio. This is the interface.
well, it's the same. It's the same as YouTube. It's no different.
Well, it is. No, it's a YouTube studio, and you go up to the upper right hand corner and you click create.
Yeah.
Drop down. And
Yeah.
it lists upload videos,
Yep.
go live, great posts, new playlist, and then at the bottom it says new podcast.
Right.
So you click on that, and it has another pop-up that comes up that lists new podcasts, and it has two categories. It has create a new podcast,
Yep.
set an existing playlist
Yep.
as a podcast.
Yep. And it's all it is a playlist. So if
Right.
you do this,
so you click create a new podcast.
Right.
And it has a pop-up
yep.
that says a podcast is a type of playlist.
So that's
what
all
they
you're
call it.
doing is you're creating another playlist. You're not creating a podcast. You're creating a playlist on your
Right.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, they're appropriating the name podcast as a way to funnel maybe podcast like content into a certain probably area of YouTube for feature, right? So, but this is this isn't based on RSS. It's a direct upload, and you upload your podcast thumbnail. It says, and then it's like all the other publishing a video. It's public, private, or unlisted. So
Right.
it's
It's
of course. So you can do that on some of the.
but this is
podcasting platforms,
there's
too.
nothing different than a normal YouTube channel. I mean YouTube playlist. The only
Right.
difference is you add album art. That is the same menu for a regular playlist minus album art.
Yeah,
That's
but
the only
what's-
thing that's different.
okay,
That
it says add a square cover art,
right. So this is the only thing that's
But-
different. That's
but it doesn't give you any. What specifications does it give you?
no,
for-
nothing. It doesn't care about any of that. But what you got to do is now just go create a playlist, Rob. It's the same information minus.
Right.
So this is a big, super fat, juicy nothing burger, as Matt just said. YouTube podcast so far equals supersized nothing burger.
Right.
So
That's all it is.
So
Yeah,
there,
you're right.
so this
Currently.
Theo Vaughn, this past weekend with Theo Vaughn is a YouTube channel, and
Right. Todd, so you click on there's a like a learn more about
Yeah.
your podcast icon that you uploaded. It says
Yeah.
square podcast art.
Yeah.
And okay, I click on that and it takes you to a page called add video thumbnails on YouTube.
right,
And so it runs you through what the specifications of that are.
right,
And and it talks about a 1280 by 720.
Oh,
It
okay.
doesn't say anything about a square image.
Oh, that's
for
funny.
podcasting. This page doesn't even use the word podcast anywhere.
Of course, this is just slapped together. But here's the best part, and I'm going to show you here what I see on the playlist, the podcast playlist. This is what I see. Caleb Presley this past weekend with Theo Von, number 436. If I go over to Apple Podcasts, Caleb Presley with, George Kittle. So I guess, yeah, so Caleb Presley. So this guy does have a YouTube channel and a podcast. So he's got both.
Right.
So there are AKA podcasters in the podcast section, but I don't know. I'm not going to go in and look everybody up. I think that's going to be dumb. But these are these are video, primarily video, that are being showed on YouTube.
But like this show is an example, we are actually a video podcast, right?
A true video podcast.
Right. So what YouTube would expect from us is that we upload this recorded video separately.
No, I could select this show today, and I did. You don't have to upload nothing. No change. I selected this playlist for live.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and this will show up in the YouTube, in the podcast playlist as have been live. Or it's going to go in our podcast playlist. Nothing changes. We don't have to upload nothing.
But is that showing up on that podcast page?
Yeah. Not on YouTube's podcast page.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
No,
YouTube,
of course not.
Right.
No, because guess what? We don't have 474,000 views. We don't have 489,000 views. We don't have Joe Budden's 266,000 views. We don't have Cedric the Entertainer Comedian with 187,000 views. If I scroll down here, I don't have 72K views with true scary Reddit stories. If I go down here and look at Far From the Others, Critical Role Campaign 3, 327,000 video views. If I go down further and look at The Illuminati versus Scarlet, Mr. Sunday Movies, 46,000 video views. This show gets 20 video views on YouTube. We are not going to be in this list. We never will. Ever will be in this list. And there's no way to search for this show in the podcast list. Matter of fact, if we search right up here and I go new media show. So our new media show at podcast, one of our prior videos from the at Podcast Movement shows up in the normal search list, and if I click on this, it just takes me over to my channel. Doesn't take me anywhere else.
Right.
So
this is a lot of kind of smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
Right.
And once
it's going to confuse the podcaster.
Actually, podcaster so far. Ask me how many support tickets we've got on it. Zero.
Well, yeah.
Zero inquiries, zero requests for information, zero how do we do this? Zero, I want to be on YouTube. Zero request.
Because they go look at it, Todd, and it doesn't look anything different than what they would normally do with YouTube. I mean, what's the advantage of publishing your video that you do into that area versus just publishing it directly to your channel? I don't see any.
No. It's the same. It's the same.
I don't see an advantage of using YouTube's new functionality.
No, it's the only thing is you are now supposedly will get into this new podcast.
Well, but that doesn't sound like it's guaranteed that that's going to happen.
No, it's going to be select users that are going to get in there. So what we will do now is we will sit here and go, okay, that was dumb. Now we
This is
will
a content grab from the podcasting industry.
now we will wait until YouTube Music decides they're going to do something, whatever that may be, and whether or not you're going to be able to submit an RSS feed or whatever that might be. And we had a conversation on my Facebook page. It went back and forth on, and again, yes, for listeners, let me clarify this. For listeners, they don't care, right?
Well, it's even beyond that. They can believe whatever they want to believe. We can't control that, but all we do is we speak to content creators.
Yeah, so
right? They need to not be confused about what YouTube is doing here.
So again, just so we're clear, we're talking to creators here.
Right.
We're not talking to listeners here. And as a creator, I said, I love YouTube channels. I love video podcasts available on podcast apps. But if your show, audio or video, is not in a subscribable podcast app powered by a podcast RSS feed, please do not call it a video podcast. Call it a show on YouTube.
Yeah.
As a podcaster, not as a listener.
Well, that's who they're catering to here is listeners, right?
Right,
so
right.
They're taking what they have seen in the Edison research that says that YouTube is the second most popular way people are discovering podcasts, right?
Yep.
And they've now, appropriated it into their platform.
Yep.
To take advantage of that misperception, right?
Yes.
Because that's what it is a misperception.
So,
and that's certainly YouTube's prerogative that they can do that.
But
and the listener or the viewer in this case is already perceiving these shows to be podcasts, whether or not they have RSS feeds or not.
We have been publishing this show to YouTube for 10 years.
Right.
Okay. We have been publishing this show to an RSS feed for 534 episodes plus whatever came before we changed the name of the show.
And the only reason this show is in YouTube is because we do it live.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not like we're uploading directly to YouTube like this.
No.
This tool is expecting.
No, this tool is not expecting. You can do you can live or you can upload. We're live and it's going to show up in our.
Yeah, but that's kind of my whole point is that there's two ways of getting content up to YouTube, and they're doing that with under the name video podcast now, where you just upload your video directly to them. So you go into, StreamYard or any of these platforms, record your video, take that video, and YouTube wants you to upload it directly to them.
So if you look right here, I have got a screen up that shows how to create a new, this is basically the interface for creating a live stream on YouTube. And we go down here, and I'm not going to enter it, but I'm going to do the playlist pull down, and right there, New Media Show podcast, Geek News Central podcast. I can very easily click New Media Show as the podcast, click done, and I can go and put a title in. And when we get done publishing this live, like we are today, it will show up. And if we go to my channel now, if we look at my channel, here's the funny part. Nothing has changed in my channel. Nothing. Home, videos, live, playlist, community, channels about. There's nothing in here that says podcast. But if I go playlist and I scroll down, well, there's nothing has changed. You cannot tell on my channel on YouTube that there's a podcast. This bottom right-hand corner that has the number 512 by it is the channel or the playlist that Geek News Central is in. Now, New Media Show is right here. Here's the playlist here's a playlist for the new media show. Oh, and it does show. This is what it shows for the new media show. Now, if I go back and I click, let me click another playlist, CES 2017. That is not a podcast, but guess what? Same stupid thing. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Well, Todd, also in this publishing interface that they have right now, they want you to upload a square podcast image, right?
Well, I uploaded 1280 by 720 before the show starts as the album art. And
Yeah, I have not seen anywhere in the platform where that album art is showing up. The only place.
No, I did see it yesterday. Yesterday, I did see that square album art here.
Where?
In this box. They've changed something today. That album art was in these two windows yesterday.
Okay, because I was just looking at the YouTube music platform, and they all use square images. But I've never seen YouTube video use square images before.
So yesterday in my playlist here, that album art was in these two here. So they've changed something in the last 24 hours. That was the only thing I could see yesterday where it had album art.
So what you're saying is they removed the square album art?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, if I go to my.
Yeah, but that confirms my whole point here was that they expect you to publish something that doesn't show up anywhere.
Right. So let's see if I can.
Based on, right, unless it's going to show up in the YouTube music side, but it's not.
Okay, now I need to go figure out where. Okay, I got to go back to studio. Let's see here. Let me find it. Yeah, that's another thing too. You got to content, and then we got to go playlist. Okay, it shows up here. This is where it shows up.
What, the square?
The square image art is. It says 166,512. That's where it shows up. So it doesn't show up.
But that's your studio view. That's
right.
So view.
Yeah. So if I go over and do details, you can see here's where I've uploaded album art. So it shows up. Yeah. The only place it shows up is, and I can remove the podcast setting. All I have to do is go over here and say set as a playlist, and it's no longer a podcast anymore. So a YouTube podcast per se. So this is just a bunch of BS.
It's an incomplete publishing ecosystem that they've released
that they didn't talk about at all. They didn't even say we were going to be in YouTube, only in YouTube Music.
Well, I think there was two separate announcements here. There was one that was done at Hot Pod talking about YouTube Music, and then there was what showed up in Pod News,
right?
Which was around the YouTube Studio publishing.
Everyone that I've talked to so far has been surprised about this. So maybe somebody knew. Obviously those people.
I think the big takeaway is this is really a nothing burger is what it comes down to. There's really no advantage to doing this.
The only advantage that may benefit some shows is that you end up on that YouTube /podcast page.
Yeah, but we haven't made any connections that that's really the case because I don't see any square album art there.
Well, no, but again, Rob, you're missing a point.
No, I think you're missing the point. There's no reason to use this podcast.
Okay, so let's
publishing pathway
exactly
because there's no advantage to using it versus just using the normal channel.
That's right. There's no advantage currently, which makes me say they're not done rolling things out. But again, if the only people that are going to be in here are superstars in this YouTube podcast section, say they got the little podcast logo over there. They had the balls to copy that.
I don't know why they're asking for square cover art.
Well, again, there's something we don't know yet.
I know, but you don't release a feature like that it doesn't have a pathway anywhere.
Well,
right?
The pathway is, I have a podcast on YouTube.
Well, it's maybe storing something that they might do something with in the future.
Sure. Probably
right?
Apple Music.
That's a possibility. But what's the advantage of a podcaster going there today
Nothing,
and uploading through that pathway?
unless you're a superstar.
Doesn't give you any benefit.
No, and I don't even know if these playlists are even designated. We can't even tell that if the Flagrant show, if I go over to their podcast
I know all about YouTube analytics.
Okay, if I go over to their page, home videos live playlist, and we go to playlist, and there's 4 playlists, and I can't see on this playlist if this is a podcast, quote unquote.
Right.
It's no difference. There's nothing burger, nothing has changed except some stupid stuff they've done here.
Yeah. So this is an unbaked process that's not
This is just Google
ready
trying
for prime time.
This is just Google trying to hijack a word.
Right. Well, because they've been doing a lot of PR saying that it's YouTube podcasting, YouTube podcast here, or YouTube podcasting there.
Anita says, "Will podcast platforms have you?" Well, Anita says, "Will podcast platforms have YouTube destinations as live streams soon?" No, there's no gateway to that. All this is now is a channel, a playlist in a channel. There is no destination.
Right.
There's no way
there's no place for the content to go that's unique or different in the platform that we've been able to identify.
Why would I? First of all, why would I send somebody somewhere where they have to? I want my listeners to stay on podcast apps. Those that discover the show over on YouTube, great. Yeah. It just shows me this is I'm sure they have a bigger strategy. I'm sure that next week everybody's going to say, "Oh, Todd, you were wrong. You were wrong. They have it on music now." So 10,000 stats from Adam Carey, 0. Yes, 0 impact. 1776 stats from Mike says YouTube needs to stay in their lane. Online videos.
Right. Well, I think that they did do that. It's just they launched something that there's no benefit.
And it tells you how much of an impact it is when I have gotten 0 support tickets saying, "When are you going to support YouTube podcast?" 0.
Well, you can't. Nobody can submit a YouTube music podcast.
And if they're only going to do like YouTube only does, is highlight big shows, the average podcaster, this means nothing for them. They will get no more traffic. They won't get no more promotion. They have to build. You want to be successful on YouTube, you have to build a YouTube channel.
Right. That's the same as always.
And you're not going to be able to monetize unless you have 4,000 listener hours. They're going to advertise against your content, just like they do my content on YouTube today. If you don't pay the $17 premium fee for YouTube Premium, they will run ads against your content and you will earn nothing. Nothing. 0.
Yeah. Well, Todd, let's back up and look at this from a little bit of a different perspective.
Sure.
I mean, I think what we've seen from YouTube up to this point has been a lot of hopes and promises and flashy announcements at small events and kind of confusing teasing of the industry, but there's not a lot of substance behind anything that they've done. So
they have a record of this.
Well, they actually did quite a bit with the Google podcast stuff, but they unfortunately
they actually started
this guidance that they needed to shut some of that stuff down, and I don't understand. They had a fairly decent solution that people were somewhat adopting and working with. Why shut that all down to roll out something that's half baked like what they're doing right now.
Well, you know, it's because it's Google. And, you know,
I mean, let's shoot ourselves in the foot, I guess might be my comment on that.
and you remember this is US only.
Right.
So,
And it's not even YouTube Music, which is what they announced,
right.
It's video, but it's not really doing anything to help video podcasting.
No, this is not.
And if
This
you're gonna
help.
roll something out, do something that's like a real video podcasting
And here's
area.
here's the thing. Google Podcasts actually had moved the needle. They'd actually moved the needle. And they were on the.
And then they dismantle that and start over with something that's, I hate to say it, but it's kind of a joke. Actually.
So now what we're seeing, at least what we're seeing at Blueberry, is our subscribe on Android thing, which hasn't gotten a lot of use since Google came on board. All of a sudden, guess what I have? I have app developers all again saying, hey, we want to employ subscribe on Android on our app. And I'm like, beautiful. Come on. Add it to it so you have one-click subscribe on Android and welcome to the team. You know, welcome to the team so you have the same functionality as Apple Podcasts or any of the other apps that support a one-click. Welcome to the party. You know, start taking market share away. Matter of fact, these new podcast apps, they should adopt that as well so that when someone clicks on a subscribe on Android link, guess what? They get their app, nobody else's. Right. You know, that way.
YouTube has a huge potential here, and I'm just disappointed because there was a lot of attention that was given by on the part of the industry to help Google Podcasts get off the ground many years ago now.
Yeah,
I know I was one of them. I was in their offices talking to them.
Yeah.
Up in Seattle when I lived in Seattle, and I probably met with them 4 or 5 times over the years, and I know Rob Walsh was meeting with them online on a regular basis, trying to help them with their Google Podcast solution, and to see them dismantle that, which was a fairly robust platform, and I think it was fairly effective in what it was doing. It certainly could have been better, but any platform can be better. But I just think that YouTube has an opportunity here to do some impactful things, and they're failing at that. And I don't know what the reason is. Is it because they're not talking with the industry very much? Because I don't get a sense that they are. Or is it because they have limited resources and they're trying to make something out of nothing as far as investment on their part? Or is it just they don't? This is just PR spin.
No, what it is?
I don't know.
What it is simple. And I'm going to tell you the difference between Apple and Google. Here's the difference. Google has to make money. They have to keep the ad dollars rolling in. So
how does this help them make money?
Because what happens is the more podcasts that are on YouTube, whether it be audio, video, or whatever, they can run ads against that content and not give the creator a dime.
Right.
The majority of them. Those that that qualify, they'll get 30% or whatever Trump change they throw at them from their ad, whatever it is, the Google AdSense revenue, whatever it may be. They're going to make some money. The big shows are that are on YouTube that have established a great channel. Okay, that's what's in it for Google is to monetize against your content, and you get nothing. You get a thank you for having your show over here. Thank you for fragmenting your audience, and thank you for letting us make some dollars against you. You get 400,000 shows over here. They're going to make a little bit. It's going to be worth a little fragmentation of money for them. Not a lot. It's going to be some. Here's the difference with Apple.
I think that they've accomplished that though. Here,
Apple.
They have.
So say what you will about Apple. They've made major improvements to the Apple Podcast app. If you haven't paid attention to what they made changes, you should.
Yeah.
They support, as some people argue against me with this, but they largely support the open podcast medium. They support RSS. They have no desire to disrupt the podcast ecosystem. Yes, they are making it available. for podcasters to be able to do premium on they want. And I recommend any show that wants to do that way, go ahead and knock yourself out. Great way to start is to do a early release episode for premium, no extra work. It's easy to set up, and you get maybe some subs on that. And they're going to take a percentage too of that revenue. But Apple has allowed, since 2005, the podcasting space to thrive in the app free of charge, no interruption of advertising. Allow everything to be on pass-through. They have improved the user interface, not asking for a dime of in-ad revenue. They haven't put restrictions on anyone that's trying to monetize their show with whatever way they want.
Right.
YouTube is not a good steward of open podcasting.
Todd, I was just poking. Yeah, I mean, they have had like very limited involvement in podcasting. Yeah, but Todd, I have noticed something else here. If you click into so if you have an existing channel right now, if you click into this category, create a podcast, and it says new podcast, right? It gives you the option to create a new podcast.
Again, you're creating a playlist.
Set an existing playlist as a podcast.
That's what I did.
So what you're doing is you're basically taking your channel that you have right now, and you're basically identifying it as now it's a podcast.
No. You're identifying a playlist.
Okay, Todd, I'm actually looking at it right now.
I have 10 playlists.
No, I know, but it has converted my channel to being a podcast.
No, it hasn't. It
says here on the screen. It says type podcast.
Where does it say that?
On the content channel page. It's changed my channel that I have.
Where does it say that?
In the line item of the playlist. It goes my top videos, and it's basically assigned it. Now all my videos that I have published on my channel are now, as far as YouTube is concerned, consider them to be a podcast.
They don't show that here for me.
Well, I can.
Where are you seeing that on your channel? I don't see anything that says podcast.
Okay, you just go create at the top.
No, but
podcast.
But Rob, you're not creating a podcast. You're creating a playlist.
Okay, Todd, you don't have to argue with me about it.
Okay, so I'm going to YouTube Studio.
What I'm telling you is what I'm seeing on the screen.
Okay, but where does it show that to a user?
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to show you is that, okay, can you go up to create a podcast, right? And it pops up a pop-up that gives you two options: create a new podcast and set an existing playlist as a podcast.
That's what I've done already in this channel.
Right. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So you click on that, and it basically takes your current playlist, which is your channel,
and it sets it.
It basically sets it all to being a podcast.
But it says type, but it changes no functionality.
Right.
It just puts a label on it.
A glimpse of what they're trying to do, Todd, is what
I'm just saying, but to the user, it means nothing. To the listener, it looks the same.
Yeah. Yeah, but my thought here is that there's no recognition on the part of YouTube that this may not be a podcast.
See, there's a new, it says type podcast, but it says podcast, but here's the deal.
So
doesn't mean nothing.
So all that now could show up on my channel listed as a podcast.
It could, but it doesn't now.
Ultimately, that's what I've done here. By clicking that link, I've created my whole channel is a podcast.
Okay, no, not a channel, a playlist.
Well, that's what it was before I clicked the link.
Okay, Rob, how many playlists do you have on your site?
I have one. With
See, that's the problem. Most YouTubers don't have one playlist. I've got 10.
Well, but that's beside the point.
Because I can go here to this content. Let's go to the content. Let's go to an episode that we've done lately. And let me go over here and say, can ChatGPT 4 be this? So this was my show. And
Right.
guess what's very interesting about this whole thing? If I go over, let me find the playlist setting, I can set multiple playlists for this episode.
Sure. No, that's
So-
that's common functionality for YouTube. It's always been the case.
So-
But now that playlist can be targeted as a podcast now.
Well, we'll see.
Well,
Because
I mean,
guess what's going to
that's-
happen? I
that's
could
the
put
functionality that I see on the
I
screen.
could put junk. Matter of fact, I think that's a good idea. Create a YouTube channel with a bunch of junk, and then I will just list everything as a podcast.
Yeah, and it now gives you the option to go into each of the episodes and upload square cover art image.
Not when I'm in
No,
here. When I'm in here in this is a podcast, and there is no square image upload. I'm in the edit screen.
Okay, well, I'm
I'm-
looking at it right on the screen.
Here is this one is in a podcast. You're thinking about, make sure you understand, you're thinking about playlists and episodes. This is an episode,
Right, I'm actually, yeah.
but
I'm
there's
actually
no place to
looking-
upload a square image here, not for a episode.
Well, you're looking at video details. I'm looking at podcast details.
No, you're looking at the playlist.
No, I'm not, Todd. I'm looking at, okay.
All right, so show me what you're looking at, because this is not the case. If you look at the playlist,
Todd, I'm actually looking at it right now. Of course it's the case.
okay.
So,
All right, you can
I don't understand
upload
what's going on
upload
here.
square album art for a single episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, when you go over here and say create,
well,
and you say
okay.
new podcast, you're creating a playlist. You're not creating a new episode.
Okay,
You're
I-
creating a.
Okay, I didn't say necessarily that I was creating an episode here.
You're
I said
creating a playlist.
Was the channel that I have in here has 20, it has 24 videos in it,
Okay,
right? And it by clicking that link, set
Yes.
an existing playlist,
Sure.
which is an existing
sure.
channel per se.
It's
right?
not a channel. A
Has-
channel is the whole channel. A playlist is
right.
a playlist of episodes within the channel.
Well, for those that just have one playlist,
No one in YouTube has one playlist.
well, I
So,
do.
okay, well,
So it's not no one.
all right.
Actually, I have a channel that has 24 videos in it,
Yeah.
and there's only one playlist.
Okay,
A
but
bunch of-
but you go to your channel and it doesn't look anything different. It doesn't look any different.
Well, no, I'm sure that that's true, but when I click on that channel inside of the podcast process, it has taken that channel that I have and it's converted into being a podcast. now.
It's not. It says a type. It isn't a podcast because.
Well,
Okay,
then why
it's
would it change it to say?
okay. Let me go
podcast?
back over to the YouTube podcast area.
Mhm.
All right, here is stuff that
Well, I'm
they're
on the YouTube
actually.
podcast.
This is
Okay.
stuff they're actually promoting. All right,
No, I get that.
let's
I mean,
let's
Yeah, but
grab.
I'm not talking about that right now.
but
I'm
let's
just talking about the publishing process.
But let me grab a show. But thing is, the publishing, you set a playlist to podcast. The publishing doesn't change. Nothing changes with the publishing. You don't designate an episode and a podcast.
I'm not saying it changes anything. I'm just saying that, but that's what the platform is doing to your channel.
Well,
Is
no one else
converting it to being a podcast.
No one sees it.
I know because they haven't enabled it yet. That's
So
kind
let,
of my point.
let me grab this 6x9 jump to LA Fitness called No Jumper.
Right.
And here is their channel. And they have, let me go through here. How many playlists do they have? This show has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, 24, 32, 36, 40, 48, 50. They've got well over 100, maybe 70 playlists for their show. And the reason they do playlists for a YouTube channel is so that when people land on this page, they can see interviews, vlogs, interview highlights, jumper news, the No Jumper show. So they list their playlist. He's only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 playlists on his homepage.
Mhm.
So one of these channels, maybe, if we go back to YouTube podcast, one of these channels might be selected as a podcast because this is where it shows up in YouTube podcast. So one of those might be designated as a podcast. So again, we don't know. We don't know how these folks got into here. Did YouTube just say, okay, we're going to grab some playlist and put in here? That's what it looks like.
Well, from what I see, Todd, it's in the interface.
But-
You click this channel is a podcast. And
Okay,
it will put you
don't
in there.
use the word channel. You're not a YouTube channel is this
I get
is
that, Todd.
this is
But
a
if you only have one playlist, it's the same thing. There's not a distinction.
okay.
Those that have multiple channels,
Okay,
have playlists.
Okay, but
have
still,
a different situation, and not everybody has a bunch of different.
all right, but still, you have a channel.
Right.
You have a YouTube channel, and from within your YouTube channel, you have one playlist. That's fine. It's still a channel, and you have a playlist you've designated as podcast.
Right, one channel, one playlist. Right.
So you have not designated your channel as a podcast. You have designated
Okay,
a
I'm not
play.
going to go over it again.
No, you
That's
have designated.
what I did
but
when I clicked.
but
on
you
that
have
link.
designated a playlist as a podcast. There is a difference.
All right. I think we're getting caught up in the semantics.
No, it's not. It's a
Yeah.
channel's a channel. A playlist is a playlist on YouTube.
Okay.
And you have designated a playlist in a channel to be a podcast type.
Okay. So what's your argument then?
No argument. Let's just make sure we use the right terms.
Well, okay. I mean, what you've done is you've created a podcast in the platform, whether really it is a podcast is kind of my bigger point.
The point is you
people
have
upload videos, right, to the platform.
sure
and
into
they've
your
created
channel.
tools to actually enable you to identify all those as a podcast now.
You can make all your playlists a podcast. Every one of them. You could have 10 different
Right.
podcasts within one channel.
Even though they may not be a podcast.
That's right. You could make all 10 I could make all my playlists podcasts. Every one of them. And give it
Right.
fresh album
And-
art.
And so what's the benefit to the podcaster or the content creator?
Currently
or
nothing.
YouTube for actually doing that.
Currently nothing.
So why are they doing it?
We don't know.
Just to funnel content into a feature page?
Who knows? But
Well,
what happens when I make all my playlists podcast and then Apple Music shows up and my CES 2011 coverage shows up as a podcast?
So you look at the interface of YouTube, and it has at the top, it's got that whole row of
Yeah.
categorization of podcasts, right?
But when
So my
you're not
assumption
going to
is if you've tagged this, if you want to call it playlist or channel, whatever you want to call it,
right.
as a podcast,
Yeah.
it will be more likely to show up under that top nav tag that says podcast.
Again,
That would be,
I mean to go
I've
over
actually seen that with this show right now. So you go to YouTube right now,
Yeah.
and you click the top nav that says podcasts. And what showed up for me was this show playing live.
Yeah, because I have it set to go on the channel to be featured when it goes live. I have it on
But
this
under
channel.
the podcast tag,
Okay, I'm going to YouTube. I'm going to go to the channel. I do not see a thing that says podcast.
you know, I do.
Where do you see that? I see YouTube rollout of podcast support ridiculous. I see a title. I don't see anything in here that says anything about it being a podcast.
Well, no, it's a categorization at the top of the page. It's like a genre. Okay. So you go, here, I'll share my screen with you, and you can see what I'm saying. So go YouTube, Chrome. All right. So, okay. So what you're seeing right now is the homepage for YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So right here up in the top, I don't know if you can see my mouse,
Yeah.
but up here it says podcasts.
Yeah.
Click on podcasts.
Oh,
There we are right there.
All right. You're talking about, I never go to the homepage. So,
Well, but that's what I'm trying to say. At the top of YouTube, there's categorization of different types of,
yeah.
of
Okay.
channels.
So I see
right?
it there. That's the only place I've seen it. And the reason I
Right.
see it is
Well-
because I'm subscribed to my channel.
Well, that is the only place, Todd.
But so
Is-
if you unsubscribe from this channel, you won't see that on the homepage underneath podcast. You have to be subscribed to the channel in order for that to show up.
Or is it because I've now
'Cause
identified?
I'm
you've identified this
no, because
this playlist or this podcast
If
as
you-
a podcast
if-
in the YouTube system.
if you are subscribed, it'll show up there. I do not see that on my page because I am not subscribed to my own show.
Okay. Let's see if I'm actually subscribed.
So what you should do is you should unfollow me or unsubscribe to the show. Go to the channel. And then go back to the homepage and see if it's still there.
Okay. All right. Okay, I went back. Okay, I don't even. Okay, here's podcasts. We're here.
So I almost
I
guarantee.
just unsubscribed.
Yeah, so you still see it, but what do
I'm
you
still
see?
seeing it there.
You see a live
I'm
show?
seeing this live broadcast, right?
Well, again, you may have just unsubscribed and it may not have took. I'm going to predict you won't see it after a bit.
That's
Let
possible.
me load an incognito window here.
I mean, we're trying to dig deep and find out where the value of what's happened here.
All right, so
is.
I'm in an incognito window now. Let me change the screen here. So
Okay,
that
I
you,
just reloaded the page and it's still showing up in the number
all
one
right.
position.
So, but you got to let me go to the other screen. All right, so now I'm in an incognito window. I am not logged in, and there's not even a selection at the top for podcast.
There isn't?
Nope. So, yeah, I don't even see.
There it is right there. Yeah, it's up there. It's right there. It's
Oh, yeah.
It's off to the
All
right.
right, let me click on it. And no, I don't see.
Do you ever click on that podcast tab in the past?
Never have in the past. And again, I'm in an incognito window right now, so Google's not supposed to know who I am right now. Ha ha ha.
Oh, all right.
But you got Joe Rogan from 4 years ago. You got the hot ones. Who's at the top here? Playing rounds, deep content that isn't deep at all, far from the others.
Okay.
Some stuff from TikTok. So this is what they're calling podcasts currently. So
Right.
I'm suspecting because you are subscribed and just unsubscribed, it just still showed it. But
Sure. That's
but again,
definitely a
this
possibility.
this channel, if someone comes to YouTube and clicks podcast, this channel is, nothing. So why would they see it? I don't think they would see it.
Mhm.
So I again, we've talked a lot about this already, but I just don't think it's going to be. And of course, again, when I'm subscribed, I'm not subscribed to my own show, so it doesn't even show up for me when I'm logged in with my account. So that shows up in all. Let's see here, podcast. Nothing shows up there in podcast. It does show up in all.
Interesting. Yeah.
So who knows?
So what should YouTube be doing here? I guess is my next question.
They need
right?
to go away.
Well, I don't know that that's a practical solution here, but
I know.
yeah.
I don't know. They're going to do what they're going to do. They haven't asked nobody, so.
Well, I think I think there needs to be clear pathways for podcasters to understand what they're going to do if they start cooperating with YouTube in this way, right?
We'll see.
And maybe have a way to ingest video podcasts in a more robust way with off of an RSS feed if the podcaster wants to do that.
The majority of shows are only going to be doing audio. They're going to get no benefit from this, in my opinion, based upon anything that they're currently doing, even if they're published on YouTube now, audio only until whatever happens with YouTube music. Simple.
Well, Todd, I don't know that I would make the blanket statement like that. I think there are very popular shows on YouTube that are threading that line between video and audio.
Yeah.
I know of a couple right off the top of my head. So they're doing quite well in both areas.
Well, a few. How many sats to get you to stop talking about this phony YouTube podcasting crap? 10,000 sats from Adam Curry.
Fair enough.
Mike Dell, 1776 sats. I'm not seeing it anymore since I unsubscribed. So Mike didn't see it either.
Right.
People are curious.
I mean,
or at least we
people
are.
are still going to go to YouTube and they're still going to think that they're discovering podcasts. So how do we leverage this to get more listeners, right? I guess is my bigger comment.
How do you do this? It's very simple. Build a very big and successful YouTube channel. That's how you do it. That's how you get more listeners. Or how about build a very successful audio podcast and don't worry about YouTube and worry about doing good show notes, good titles, doing good promotion, doing, all the things you have to do to build good audio. How about focusing on great content?
Okay. So there's going to be lots of younger generation podcasters that are going to look at this and like saying, well, YouTube's the next coming of opportunity. Right?
Great.
Just like what we saw happen with Spotify many years ago now.
So herein lies my commentary about that. And it's covered in the Facebook thread we had about this.
Yeah.
I responded to Larry Roberts with this commentary. I said, videos are great value. Call them what they are, not what they are not. Video podcasts are videos that are delivered via an enclosure. That is a video podcast. I'll have to start screaming this again. But no one will listen until they are deplatformed or demonetized by the YouTube algorithm. Podcasting is open and not controlled because of open RSS. As soon as podcasters start getting kicked off YouTube for their opinions, they will wake up and start understanding how they screwed themselves by building their brand over there. It's happening daily on Spotify, shows getting kicked off, and podcasters having extinction events because they trusted Spotify to distribute their shows. Mark my words, it will happen. Podcasts have not been, now this is important, podcasts have not been subjugated to the monitoring of content to the level that YouTube does. That changes when they put their content and build an audience on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no question, and that's why we're seeing just an explosion of content over on platforms like Rumble.
So
people are doing half of their show on YouTube, and then if they're covering topics that they know they're going to get banned on YouTube, then they just continue over on Rumble. So that's the pattern that I'm starting to see happen now.
What we have to podcasters can do whatever they want.
So just go straight over to Rumble is my comment. Right?
No, here's the thing. We don't have gatekeepers right now. You have the Podcasting 2.0 initiative that's guaranteeing the space stays open. You have Apple, who I will give credit, consider themselves a supporter of the open ecosystem. They've not asked for anything in return over the years.
Right.
They've not injected ads. You have apps that are going to do what they're going to do and the way they build and monetize. But we have an open ecosystem that guarantees if you control your RSS feed that you can't be silenced. Now, people say, well, it's not going to happen to me, Todd. Okay. until it does.
Well, to a podcaster, YouTube is not any different than publishing to Spotify, right? So it's
True.
a redistribution. It's a distribution platform to get eyeballs or
Right.
earballs.
Right. But don't build your empire over there. And that's the only thing we have to tell podcasters.
Yeah, but that's what YouTube wants people to do. And
Sure.
That's what, increasingly, that's what Spotify
Sure.
wants people to do.
They want to gatekeep. Absolutely.
They want to get exclusive content to their
Sure.
platform that's only on their platform. Increasingly, that's what we're seeing, the movement in the industry.
That's what they want. Then they can kiss my butt.
Well, I mean, some of the podcasters are going to be okay with that.
Sure.
Right?
They are.
Those that are doing the whole spectrum of media
And
opportunity.
the 99.5% that don't listen to this show are not being told any of this by anybody.
Well, I think a lot of people in the podcasting industry, I don't think entirely agree with us.
Well, good.
So in our perspective on this, because they see us as being very negative towards YouTube.
I'm not negative against YouTube. I'm not.
Well,
I've had my
that's okay.
no. I've had my content over there for a long time. Not negative to it.
No. These changes that they're making to their platform.
Well,
we're criticizing them about how they've done this.
Yeah, of course.
And the rollout of this, and I guess my comment is that there's going to be plenty of people in the podcast community that aren't going to agree with our negativity.
That's fine. That's good.
They're going to see this as YouTube putting forth an effort to embrace the podcasting space better than they have in the past.
And I bet you they're not content creators. And I bet you they don't have a skin in the game when it comes to having someone have their content monetized and not get a penny unless you're a superstar.
Yeah, my own personal preference, I would rather that YouTube talk with us than not talk with us because we're so negative.
Why would they? They're not talking to anybody. Why would they talk?
Well, no, they are talking to people in the industry. They talked to me when I was at the Hot Pod Summit. I spent quite a bit of time.
You forced yourself into the conversation.
Well, of course, right. Why wouldn't I? Right. I mean, I'm there and they're there, and so I want to find out what's going on. That's right.
So the pudding's going to hit. Changes nothing. The pudding's going to hit the road when they have YouTube Music and they don't do pass through.
Yeah, I think that's their number one challenge. I think this YouTube video thing that they just announced is really a nothing burger. It's. I was just looking for glimpses of things in the platform that point to a bigger strategy.
I'm at this point. Who knows?
And I don't know that I've seen something that's going to be that impactful.
Yeah.
So
this week, nothing.
Well, it's a continuation of disappointment. It's what it is. It's the same thing with what's happening on the YouTube Music side. I mean, what is going on with that?
Right. We don't know.
They made this big announcement at the Hot Pod Summit and was very short on any kind of significant details.
Yep.
Even questions that I asked them, they couldn't answer. So, it just, I don't know what trajectory they're on, what their timing is, what they feel like they have to do in order to embrace this, or are they just going to bully their way into this? And I don't know.
What's the bully, Rob? The bully is if they bully in again, when a podcaster, if they want to be over there and be discovered, great.
Well, I'm talking about the audio side, Todd.
I'm talking about the audio side too.
Right. They could put up a tool that says submit your RSS feed to us and get into YouTube Music, and then they're going to ingest all of your content and
they're going to cache it.
They're going to cache it and redistribute it, kind of like what we
monetize
saw Spotify
against
doing
it
in the early days.
Yep.
Right. And so, but the problem is going to run into, and I expressed them, is what are you going to do if this content is loaded with ads? I mean, are you going to store that forever? You're going to play the same ads over and over and over again?
The YouTube terms of service says I have to, even on YouTube videos, I have to disclose in my episode creation that this contains commercial content.
Right. So what does that mean, right? So if you have a host read and you have a bunch of programmatically, dynamically inserted content and you submit your feed to them, they capture that with all those ads in it. Are they going to run like an ad removal script on the podcast?
I doubt it.
Or are they going to somehow?
I'm sure the terms of service that they want to be in Google. I would not be surprised in the least if they have a terms of service says you'll have no ads, no pre-rolls on your content.
They're gonna accept the podcaster to upload each episode separately that doesn't have any ads in it.
Well, probably.
What is the strategy here? I asked them and they had no answer.
Because they don't have an answer. They're making it up as they go.
Well, I don't know that that's really going on, but I think that they're not asking the right questions.
Well, here's what they're going to do. They're going to go to the big boys, Wondery, NPR, all of them.
Well, sure.
And all the big boys are going to get a deal.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's what they're doing.
They're going to get a rev share deal. They say, bring your content over here. You won't have to have 4,000 listener hours. You're going to get a deal. And you have to give us, ad-free content so that we can interrupt your content 6 times in the hour that it's running. And we can run 2 15-second ads every, 60 seconds or whatever it may be. And
just like we saw what Spotify did. They took a very small pool of content providers.
So, and then the rest of the people are going to be hobnobbing to get on over there. And they're going to get over there and they're going to say, okay, here's the term of service. And podcasters are going to say, oh, I have to write ad free. I can't have no commercials in here. And I'm not going to get revenue share. Might be a change of opinion by the masses.
Yeah. And who's going to set the insertion markers?
Well, YouTube, Rob, insertion markers. YouTube doesn't do that. Have you watched a YouTube video lately?
Oh, of course.
They just interrupt. They just drop it. They just stop the content and drop it in. Have you listened to Rogan lately on Spotify?
That's going to create a really great listening experience.
Absolutely fantastic. Hey, that's what YouTube is. It's a great viewing experience with an ad dropped in.
Right.
So they got a model that people allow.
Right.
People put up with a 30-second ad not to pay $17 a month.
And does that mean on the YouTube Premium is that you'll get your show? Or you can listen to the podcast ad free.
I don't know what the terms for Apple Music is.
Right.
So we'll see.
That's the other end of the spectrum. Is if you get the premium subscription, then it's going to be ad free. So that all that content is going to be delivered to listeners without your sponsors.
Yeah, that's weird. Someone said the audio died. Let me look over here. Yeah, everything's working right.
Maybe it died just for them.
Testing 1 2. Huh. I don't know what happened. I got audio going out, so
yeah. So I know we're spending the whole show on this topic, but it's definitely a topic that needs to be talked about.
So, but I at this point, we'll see what happens next week. They say they're going to roll the rest of this out all this week, so maybe there'll be some stuff coming by Friday. But so far, I have not received a single support request to support YouTube because there's nothing to do. And I think the average podcaster is going to be like, I don't know how many podcasters actually post audio only over there. I very rarely run into a show that's audio only.
So you can upload audio directly to them?
Yeah.
You can. Okay. I've never done it.
I don't. That's my assumption. I don't know if it has to be an M4A or if it's I don't know if you can upload MP3, probably an M4A, probably. Well, that's what podcasters have been doing. I thought that's what, let me see here. Can you
upload audio directly to them?
I'm asking.
I've only uploaded video, so I don't know the answer to that question.
It says, let me see what it says here.
It says drag and drop video files to upload. It doesn't say anything about audio.
Hit the audio Add audio pane. No. Can upload an MP3. YouTube doesn't accept or recognize common audio files such as MP3, WA, AAC, and others.
Oh, they do.
They
Okay.
do not.
They do not accept an MP3.
No.
Okay, so you can't currently upload an audio file to them.
What is a YouTube only audio file? Well, it's probably an MP4
Right, it has to be
without
converted from
video.
the MP3 into an
What type of?
MP4
Oh,
or-
okay. Oh, what type of files can be uploaded? Now they're saying MP3, PCM, AAC, and FLAC. And this comes from the actual support doc at Google, so they do support MP3. Also, Wave too.
Oh, okay. So does that mean that they'll do the automatic conversion to a video file?
I don't think so. I don't know what they do with it. You have to try it. Just you got a channel, upload audio only, see what happens.
Yeah. That's right. I just never tried it.
But
Oh.
so anyway, sorry we spent this whole show on this, but it is one of those things. It's just it's fun to watch.
It's a little baffling. It's kind of like
So as a
I've
podcaster,
kind of played this video before.
and
so.
if you've been listening to this show long enough, you guys already know again, we don't care how the listeners watch or listen to podcasts. We don't care where they get it. Just don't.
But we care about the content creators
don't-
and how they
don't-
perceive what's happening.
Yeah, but don't
Right.
put all your baskets.
Or all your eggs in the
Yeah,
basket.
eggs in one basket. Yeah. And instead, do the value for value. Go over to podcastapps.com. And then we can quit having this discussion. And yeah. So, but we have been lit and live all day today.
Oh, that's good. So did you see where the Maximum Fun podcast network put up, was created by Jesse Thorne. He's a longtime podcaster in the medium, has converted his network into a worker-owned co-op.
Oh, well, I know I have my experience with co-ops. And you know what I have found with co-ops is usually there's one person that works and everyone else kind of hangs out.
I'm sure it's all their content creators.
Well, let's give them a piece of the action. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
If that's what's happened. But I guess co-op
probably
with
their
a co-op
staff.
with a co-op with terms is a good thing.
Right.
So someone have a big argument against everything Rob and I've said here. If you do, we want to hear from you. And of course, I know some people don't want us to talk about this anymore, but how is YouTube going to help me as a podcaster?
Yeah, I'm always trying to find what the opportunity is with this kind of stuff. I mean, how can YouTube be a good partner to the podcasting space?
Here's what you have to do. You have to write real
Right.
clickbaity titles. Every time I write a clickbaity title on YouTube, it gets a few more views, not many. But the
Right.
viewing time is always like for 2 or 3 minutes. No one comes and stays and watch for an hour or 90 minutes. So people aren't really hanging out that long.
Yeah.
So the engaging, that's another thing. If you don't have engaging content, people don't hang. So you get dumped on by the Alago over there. So if you're not playing their Alago game,
Yep.
it's,
Yeah.
and I don't
So-
care to be honest with you.
Care to with YouTube?
I don't want to play that game. I don't have the time to play with that game. If I have the time to play the YouTube Alago game, I could have better spent that time building my audience another way.
Right.
If you want to build a YouTube channel, go build a YouTube channel. And there's
Well,
lots of
Todd,
YouTube
there's-
channels I like.
I mean, there's shows on there, you have to admit, are huge. I mean,
Oh yeah, they're sure they
I
are.
watch a couple of shows over there that are doing, 200,000
Sure. They're
plays.
massive. They're massive. They're doing successful. But again, very, very small percentage.
Yeah. Well, that's
And they're the ones that are going to get the accolades and going to get the deals and is going to get the revenue.
well, they're obviously doing something right.
Yeah.
They're creating content.
Hey, do you look at their
and-
studios? They have a studio that makes this thing look like a piece of junk. They have big they have hundreds of thousands of dollar sets.
Yeah, I mean, some of them do. I agree. Not
Yeah.
all of them, but some do. Right.
High majority.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have whole high-end production
I've seen
teams
shows
too.
like ours, formatted like ours, do very well over there too. So it's not that. I think it's more to do with the content.
No,
And
of
it's more to
course.
do with having a topic that does well in the algorithm.
We do narrow podcasting here. We talk to podcasters. So
Right.
this show's never going to get big.
So our success is really driven based on our category of content is
right.
not that popular on YouTube.
Yep.
So shows that are successful over there tend to nicheify their content,
Of course.
to areas that have niche but big attention niches.
Yeah, so it's lifestyle shows, all kinds of stuff. So
Well, it's like there's probably a dozen video podcasts on YouTube talking all about every aspect and every detail of Tesla.
right.
And that's mostly their whole thing, the investing in
course.
Tesla, how much money you're going to make from Tesla, the latest updates to the Tesla vehicles. It's very niche, right? It's very niche.
But they have enough people in their niche to get a huge listening audience.
Right. I mean, some of those shows get, 100,000.
I had to laugh. I was sent a link. And, Mike said MP3 doesn't work. He just tried to upload a MP3 to YouTube. I got a link from, you're going to love this. It's called podcast-gpt.com. And it says, create this podcast. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, latest tech news. Oh, let's do this. Latest podcast news. Let's do that. And we'll go ahead and say, create this podcast. And it's going to start trying to generate this. Now, when I tried this last night, I got a 2-minute audio file that was pretty bad. But we got an AI system here. Someone's created something to create a podcast, an actual audio podcast, and this is pretty comical here. So we'll wait till it gets loaded, and maybe we can listen to a little bit of it. I think I've got everything set up to do that. Make sure, yep, I'm on the right output. All right, let's see what it does. It timed out on me today when I was trying to show this to someone else. So we'll see if it gets ready. Oh, this is taking longer than expected. That was a sign I got earlier. It's probably going to time out and crash. So we'll see what it does.
So it auto generates a
Audio
MP3 file?
Yeah, so it blew it. High server load. Please try later. So this isn't working very good, but what I got last night was an audio generated voice that read back some copy.
Right.
So let's see if this one. Let's see if we can get another. If it will generate another one. But obviously, someone is paying for a free version of some. We'll wait for it here. I'll wait for it to come back. But someone has paid for or trying to integrate with some AI BS and making a podcast you can listen to by on demand, which is failing at this point. So,
Right.
Yeah, just what we need is a robot creating podcasts.
That that fails half the time. Right.
Oh, your podcast is ready. Okay, here we go. Hang on. Let me
The tech world has been buzzing with excitement lately. SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft successfully carried 2 astronauts to the International Space Station for the first time, marking a historic moment for commercial space travel. In other news, Apple announced the new iOS 14 at its Worldwide Developers Conference. The operating system features...
So what do you think about that? Does that sound like that?
Sounds like old information.
Yes, it does. So let's see here. Let's see if we give me another question to ask it, because that one was pretty generic.
Create a real estate podcast.
How about real estate news?
News. Yeah, that's fine.
And that last one was 3 minutes long. So we'll see what this one does. I had generated that query last night in Tech News, so maybe it came up with it. But the voice, it almost sounded like it had been pre-recorded. That's what it kind of felt like to me when I heard that. Okay, here's the next one.
The real estate market is always changing, and there is never a shortage of news to report. Let's take a look at some of the recent updates. Firstly, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a shift in the real estate industry. With more people working remotely, there has been an increase in demand for larger homes with home offices.
So you could tell that is using very old data.
Yeah.
It's going back, probably using ChatGPT 3.
Well, even 4 is a year old.
Right. So, that's sounds like pandemic information,
Yep. I think a lot of people just need to realize that even the latest 4 upgrade has old data in it.
Let me see if I can trick it. What year is your data set? And I'm going to see if it'll actually answer this question.
So you have to be careful of using Chat GPT because the information it pulls is dated. It's very dated information.
So what you have to do is you have to feed it a whole bunch of current stuff. Okay, here we go. Let me see.
Well, if it's not in the data set, it's not going to find it.
Well, you can submit stuff to it, though. You can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Data is one of the most important aspects of any research or analysis. It provides the foundation for drawing conclusions and making...
Okay, so it's not going to tell me what year your data set is. So, but it's interesting. The voice ain't too bad.
No, it's an okay voice. It comes across okay.
Yeah. So anyway, anyone who wants to play with this, podcast-GBT. Here, let me do this. Who, news about Rob Greenlee, the podcaster.
It's going to talk about Lipson.
Let's find out. See, this is a roundabout way to find out. Let's see if it even creates it. It's being very, very slow here in creating the content, so it probably will time out. Yeah, probably it's not going to create it because the other ones were created pretty cool. Oh, here it is. 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Rob Greenlee, the renowned podcaster, has recently made headlines for his impressive contributions to the podcasting industry. Greenlee has been in the podcasting industry since its early days
sounds like
and has
a bio.
been recognized as one of the most influential individuals in the industry.
This is not news.
His notable achievements include being inducted into the Podcast Hall of Fame and co-founding an important podcast network.
Oh, really?
Greenlee is also known for his work in podcast monetization, content development, and marketing. He has been a valuable resource for many podcasters who are looking to grow their audience and monetize their podcasts.
I like this guy.
He has also been a guest on many popular podcasts, where he has shared his experience and knowledge on this topic. Recently, Greenlee started a new podcast called The New Media Show, where he and Todd Cochran discuss current events in the podcasting industry.
Recently.
The show covers a wide range of topics, from advertising to content creation and distribution, and has been a helpful resource for podcasters who want
And
to stay
YouTube.
up to date on the latest trends in the industry. Aside from his success in podcasting, Greenlee has also been a key player in the radio industry.
Oh,
He has
really?
worked as a program director and on-air personality for several radio stations,
Oh, really?
including KJR-FM in Seattle. He has also been a guest speaker at many radio conferences where he has shared his
That's
insights on the future of radio and podcasting.
Is it any of this true?
Greenlee has also been recognized for his work in advocating for
KJR stuff
podcasters'
isn't true.
rights. He is a past president of the Podcasting Association and has been a longtime supporter of the Podcaster's Legal Guide.
Oh,
He
really?
has also been a vocal advocate for podcasters' intellectual property rights and has
Oh.
worked with the U.S. government
Wow.
to ensure that podcasters are protected from copyright
Wow.
infringement.
Like I said,
Overall,
I really like
Rob
this guy. He's
Greenlee's
just not telling the
contributions
truth.
to the podcasting industry have been remarkable. He has been a strategic leader and has helped pave the way for many podcasters
Wow.
to succeed.
Wow.
His work in
Wow.
podcast monetization, content development, and marketing has been invaluable, and his podcast, The New Media Show, continues to be an important resource for podcasters around the world.
Well, definitely not news. It was bio.
No,
No
it
news.
was definitely a bio. Yeah, I want to hear yours, Todd.
Oh, you want to hear mine? Okay, so I'm gonna- you know what's
Wow.
funny is if it had given news, I would have actually been impressed. If it had
Well, some
actually
of that stuff is just not
not right.
entirely accurate. Not accurate. Yeah, I never was a program director for KJR, so
All right, so we'll see what mine does here. See if it creates one. I did post my bio that ChatGPT came up for me, and it was partially right. So we'll see what the dummy AI thing does here while we're loading this. We're already almost over time, but we
Right.
started a few minutes late. It's probably going to time out. Yeah,
well, especially on your bio, Todd.
well, my bio is pretty public, so we'll see how close it
Mine
comes.
is too. Right.
We'll see how close it comes to coming up with. Oh yeah, it's probably going to time out. This is taking longer than needed. Oh yeah, should be ready in a moment. That's what the message I heard before. Yeah, probably an error message. Yeah, taking longer than expected.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Todd Cochran, the podcaster.
yeah. I worded the same way, but with your name in. Oh, high server load. All right, so we're going to try it again. Let me go ahead and refresh the page here.
But yeah, I would say probably 95% of it
Was right.
was fairly accurate, but there was some details in there. Was like,
Like really?
I didn't,
Where did
I
that
didn't know
come
I
from?
did that. I didn't know I did that.
You know, I saw something on the Mastodon chat where Adam had Bing's AI write his bio, and oh, here it is. It's ready. Let's hear what he has to say.
Todd Cochran, the veteran podcaster, is making headlines again after being elected as a chairman of the Podcast Academy.
Really?
The Podcast Academy is dedicated to upholding excellence in podcasting and promoting podcasting
Wow.
as a medium to
I'm
a wider
so proud
audience.
of you.
Wow.
Cochran, who is highly regarded in the podcasting community, was elected by the members of the Academy who saw him as the right candidate to lead the organization.
Wrong.
Cochran is the founder of the Podcast Awards and served as the CEO of Raw Voice / Blueberry for over 15 years.
See how old it
As
is?
a
There it
pioneer
is.
in the industry, he has been instrumental in shaping and promoting podcasting. His election as the chairman of the Podcast Academy
Oh my
is
God.
a testament to his contributions to the industry. In a recent interview, Cochran expressed his commitment to ensuring that the Podcast Academy promotes
Oh,
diversity
really?
within the podcasting industry.
This is rather
He
ironic.
stated that he
actually.
plans to work closely with other organizations to ensure that podcasting is easily accessible to everyone,
Oh, that's
regardless of their background. Cochran is also set to launch his new show, Geek News Central.
Oh, a
which
new
will
show,
focus on
set to
technology
launch.
and its
Oh.
impact on our lives.
Wow.
The show will provide listeners with insights into the latest technology trends and developments. In addition to his podcast-related ventures, Cochran is an active member of his local community. He has been involved in various charitable activities,
Oh, really?
including supporting local food banks and providing essential supplies to those affected
Wow.
by natural disasters.
Wow. Really?
Cochran's contributions to podcasting have not gone unnoticed. He has been recognized with awards such as the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Podcast Awards and the Tech Podcast Network Hall of Fame Award. Overall, Todd Cochran continues to be a driving force in the podcasting industry. His election as the chairman of the Podcast Academy is a clear indication of his commitment to promoting excellence in podcasting. With his extensive experience and passion for the medium, he is poised to take podcasting to greater heights.
About 90% of that was wrong.
Yeah, you're
really wrong.
Completely has both of us confused with each other.
And it says that I'm going to launch Geek News Central, and then I'm part of the Tech Podcast Hall of something. Right. Oh my God!
And then the chairperson of the Podcast Academy, which is a role that
someone could have a comedy show with this thing.
Right. Yeah.
This is very. It got a bunch of you right, but then it got a bunch of me wrong.
Right, and it got some stuff with me wrong too.
Oh my God,
got this idea that I was the program manager for KJR in Seattle,
and the chairman of the Podcast Academy. That is hilarious.
Oh yeah,
that is because you were that for a while.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, so
I was their founding chairperson.
It's got its legs crossed. So I hope we gave you a little entertainment at the end instead of bickering about this no burger news from YouTube. So,
it was a little.
We should have played.
We should narcissistic.
We should have played those. Okay. We should have played those clips the whole show.
Right. Yeah. If you want to boost your ego, right.
Well, for me, it's like, all of a sudden I'm gonna get email. Someone's gonna see a transcript of this show and say, "You weren't the chairman."
Right. What are you doing, Todd?
And they're just reading the text.
This information. We're going to have to take you down. We're going to have to censor you.
That's right. Oh, that was funny. So if anyone else wants to play with this, it's at podcast-gpt.com. Have no idea who has created this, except that you can tell, and it looks like the data was about 7. It's old. Some of the stuff was really old of the couple of things it got right. So. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Todd at blueberry.com, at Geek News on Twitter. Make sure you get over to newmediashow.com. Follow or subscribe to the podcast. And unless something crazy happens, we'll be back here next week again. Promise not to spend a whole hour and 10 minutes wanking about YouTube.
Right. Yeah. Well, they can wank for themselves. But I can be found on Twitter at Rob Greenlee. You can send me an email, rob.greenlee@gmail.com. You want to reach out directly, we'd love to hear from you. And I have a podcast that I'm working on too, Spoken Life. So that's my current project. And just, being a part of the podcast community, going to be going to the NAB with you, Todd, and we're going to be doing a panel session there. I'm actively trying to find a couple of panelists with us, so hopefully I can identify a couple of them soon. And
and if we have provided value for you today, make sure you go to podcastapps.com. Get you one of those newfangled modern podcast apps. I like Podverse and Fountain. I like both of those apps a lot. You can get the bat signal when we go live and lit. And you can participate in the Value for Value program by throwing us 25 cents if you feel like it, or 10,000 sats or 100,000. Matter of fact, we'll take 1 million. We've got inbound liquidity to do 1 million. So I want to thank everyone for their support.
Yep. Thank you very much. And if you're a member of the Podcast Academy, go ahead and
vote
for my re-election to the board, because I'm the one that actually served on the Podcast Academy.
Not me. Yeah. All right. Everybody, we'll see you next week. Everyone, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.